Assuming that you all are smiling behind the home screen, I'm um, welcoming you all to the discussion. So today we have the Uraga Sutta. Let me see, I should have it open. There we go. See the word Urago right here. And I brought the Pali to make it more interesting for us, because if you listen to Bhikkhu Bodhi on his lectures on Uraga Sutta, I think it is a must listen. I listened to 3 of those. He brings examples from the commentary that he translated. So just listening to him and him reading Pali, I felt like it's beautiful to bring Pali into the discussion so that I also keep practicing my Pali and that we also make word connections with the English and Pali. So Uraga refers to the snake. And here's me holding a snake in Vegas. And after seeing this, my friend called me immediately. And she was, her fears of snakes came back to her mind. And she said, at least at this age, she can look at images. She said this is one of the worst fears she had. So she wanted to know how to really overcome it. And the fear is in the mind, so overcoming it is a work not by holding the snake or anything, it's just a work we do all together. Any thoughts of fear is just a matter of removing your thoughts, which you can do through jhana practice. But this sutra is not about snakes in general. Snakes have this seasonal thing they do to get rid of their old skin. And there is a process of it that it notices that this is something that needs to be gotten rid of, and it feels disgusted on it. And when it's half removed, it goes around some wood to completely be free from it. And finally, it is free. And in Sri Lanka, we find snakes, almost in every region. And here in the United States, you find them not so big ones in Michigan. When I was doing the walking path behind the monastery, I saw a somewhat bigger one, but it didn't appear to be a venomous snake. So snakes are everywhere. They live in the world, these long creatures, beautiful ones. And we monks are advised to radiate loving kindness to them in Kanda Sutta, especially when you go into aranyas, the forests, for meditation. You include snakes into your loving kindness. And the Buddha, when a monk was bitten by a snake, the Buddha said, that monk didn't radiate loving kindness towards snakes. That is why he was bitten. In other words, when you don't have loving kindness towards animal, you tend to poke them and then they attack. So in a way that the Buddha was telling that you shouldn't play with such animals. It's not exactly how he said that, but include animals, include snakes also into loving kindness. And that becomes a way of protection for you. So people who have never gone to the forest for meditation, they think, how am I going to live with, snakes? The forest is not full of snakes. It's just that they happen to come for water, looking for food or mice. In those situations, we may notice them, and we gently, sometimes snakes don't have ears, but we gently kind of give them space, and we still talk to them so they hear us through vibration, and then they go away. So without harming them. It could be a past relationship you had, and could be that that animal was making the space where you were living as an abode, or it could be some other relative as a divine being coming to test your meditation skills, so that you know you don't feel frightened. Anyway, back to the story. We have 17 verses in Uraga Sutta, and this was spoken to the monks of Alavaka. So if you go to the Wisdom Library introduction, I have a little print of it here, which I have shared with you. Um, so the first sutta of the Sutta Nipata. Sutta Nipata is one of the oldest collections of the teachings, and this particular sutta and many sutras in Sutta Nipata, these are called the Song of Freedom. So it has that character in it. This was preached at the Aggalava Chaitya in Alavi, and monks were cutting down trees to build huts for themselves. And this one monk happened to cut down a tree owned, by a tree spirit, meaning that the tree spirit had the tree as its abode. And the story says that uh, one monk, in felling a tree which was the abode of a tree spirit, hurt her child's hand. Don't know how that happened. And though sorely tempted to kill the monk on the spot, the spirit checked herself and made complaints to the Buddha. So the tree spirit have powers that it can attack and kill the monk immediately. The monk was disregarding the other's space and he should have respected. So when it says in the story that the monks were building their own place, it's kind of lowering the quality of the monk, that he shouldn't be doing it, that he should he should just be happy, about the place he has, or just stay under the tree and allow people to build it for him. If he was doing good practice, people would support him. And then when she went to the Buddha to complain, the Buddha asked her to occupy another tree, and this tree was close to where the Buddha was giving a talk. And usually, a tree spirit cannot get that close to the Buddha unless there is a special grant. Because spirits or beings, divine beings who are higher position, would be closer to the Buddha, listen to Dhamma. But she had been granted this closeness by giving a position in that tree, so she was listening to the Dhamma. So this first verse, this is about anger, it's about wrath, was taught to her. So did I say anything pop up in comments? Oh, okay. So no, not this document, but this is shared in the email. I can't, that I can open it in this computer because I don't have that email here logged in. It's a workaround, but I'm just about to. Yeah, this has been shared in the email. This is a document from the Wisdom Library. But do you see the Pali and the English, Harold? Okay, perfect. Let me try reading Pali. Yo uppatitang vineti kodhang visatang sappa visangva osadehi so bhikkhu jahati ora parang urago jinna mivattachang puranang. So he who can curb his wrath as soon as it arises, as a timely antidote, will check snake's venom that so quickly spreads. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So it's directing at the worn out skin of a snake, and just as a snake gets rid of the worn out skin, a monk gets rid of anger. You see the Pali word uppatita, just as it arises. Uppatti is arising. Just from the birth, you notice the anger and you get rid of it. Because the snake's nature is to get rid of the old skin as soon as possible. It doesn't like that skin. It feels disgusted of it. So um, last Saturday I shared in the morning meditation about uh, this monk who is going out into the ocean or a lake, which is huge, for meditation, and he stays focused and he stays like that for a long time, and he notices that another man came and hit his boat. So it keeps happening that this man continuously hits his boat, and the monk was like, why are you not stopping it, go away. So he was complaining in his mind, but he didn't open his eyes. And then as the boat kept hitting, uh, the monk decided to open his eyes only to see that it was an empty boat. So when he noticed that, he realized that the anger is not directed towards a man who was hitting him. The anger was arisen in him. It is in him that the work should be done, not removed by telling somebody to take away the boat. So anything that angers him, he began seeing them as empty boats. And he came to deep insight, because at that point, all he had to do was to work on his anger and overcome his troubles, which he did in a smart way. And he began uprooting anger as soon as it arises, which is a struggle, very hard to do. With extreme levels of mindfulness cultivated, you are able to grab it, capture it, uproot it, and remove it. And now you see another parable here that is also about snake, that you see when a snake venom comes in contact with your body, particularly when a snake has bitten you, the venom spreads in your body so quickly. And with the timely antidote, the timely medicine, see the osadehi, with the timely medicine, aushadha, you are able to quickly, stop it from spreading. So what is the venom here? The venom is anger, that you are able to stop it from spreading with um, with your quick action, which is, you know, you curb your wrath as soon as it arises. What could be a way to curb your anger is to see that it is not because somebody else does something, it's the noise in your own mind that makes you angry, that things are not going in your way, so you get angry, you struggle. When that noise goes away, there is no anger, so you begin applying this insight and cultivate insight, how it arises, and how you can use loving kindness for yourself so that you don't let anger beat you and you stay healthy in your mind, in your mental uh, practices, so that you feel better, and that internal dialogue not going to manifest. Does that help? So we are actually pretty slow, but that is okay. Slower the better, so we understand things, and that you can read this on your own. Next one. Yoraga mudachida asesang bisapuphamba saroruhang vigaiha so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jinna mivatta chang puranang. He who entirely cuts off his lust, as entering a pond, one uproots lotus plants. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. And now this is about strong attachment, lust. Bodhi talks about this in detail in his talk. This is in his second talk because it took him an hour for just for the first verse alone. We finished it in 10 minutes, maybe less. That's how much details that he brings into the discussion. And here, this is the Buddha, and he talks. The Bodhi talks about lust, being permitted in Buddhism. It is just that overindulgence of it by a layperson or adultery. These things are not permitted. And ultimately, whether you are a monk, if you are a monk, particularly, you are not allowed to have any sexual relations. And you do that for your own awakening process, not because you are told to do so. Your goal is to be free from lust, hatred, and delusion. And for lay people, having had no obsessions over it, you overcome lust as you cultivate your insight towards your full liberation, which is only possible when you have transcended the lustful tendencies in your own mind. So cutting off lust entirely, not partially. So if anyone thinks that Buddhism is about entertainment and ways to indulge, so there's only little they find interesting in Buddhism. But if you are thinking that it is also entertainment without lust, and there are many ways you can find that entertainment through cultivation of your mind, through samadhis, intense piti arises, intense joy arises one after the other. So there are those other ways you can enjoy when you let go of lust. Okay, so he who entirely cuts off his lust as entering a pond. When you enter a pond, your goal is to, uproot lotus plants. So lotus plants are grown in mud and they are deeply rooted. But because it is muddied, you can easily pull them off. So this is lotus plants, not the flowers you are pulling. And lotus is a great symbol in Buddhism that an awakened person's mind, a Buddha's mind, is like a lotus that stays unsmeared by lust, the mud. So such a monk gives up the here and the beyond. So Oraparang is the word, you know, Jahati. He gives up Oraparang, here and the beyond. This is about existing in this world and existing after the birth, meaning that you no longer have that passion to continue being born because you have lustful tendencies. Now that you want to be free from it, as you have cultivated your mind beyond lustful tendencies. And you do so, you do remove lust as quickly as it arises, as fast as you uproot lotus plants, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. Next one. Yo tanha mudachida se sang Saritang sigha sarang visositva so bhikkhu jahati or parang urago jin mivattachang puranang. So jin tachang here is the old skin. Uh, Puranang is, Jinna is decayed. Puranang is old. So again, the same simile repeats throughout the verses. Now the meaning is he who entirely cuts off his craving by drying up its fierce and rapid flow. Such a monk gives up the here and beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. Now imagine being in a flood that is rapidly flowing, and you are trying to make to the shore by swimming as fast as you can to free yourself from danger, but you aren't making any progress. The more you try, you are being carried away down the river and without anything to hold on to. Such is the ogre, the flood of lust. So by drying it up, which is fierce and rapid flow, the river uh, is very fierce and rapid. And that kind of a monk, he gives up here and beyond. That kind of a monk is staying present. He has done the work, he has experienced the freedom. Need to go to the next one. Probably we'll stop there. We'll do 4 and 5 and then we'll stop. Yo mana mudabhi as badhi ase sang nalase tungva sudubbalang mahogo so bhikkhu jahati ore parang urago jinna mivattachang puranang. He who entirely blots out conceit as the wind demolishes a fragile bamboo tree bridge. Such a monk gives up the here and the beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So, conceit is addressed here. This is a very deep rooted defilement, also a sanyojana, a bondage that is only gone as you become enlightened and arahant. So you have removed the core of defilements. And there was this teacher who held the view that he was an arahant, and he had a student who actually became an arahant. And also the student cultivated psychic abilities and wanted to tell the teacher that you are in a wrong belief, that you are not an arahant, although you are claiming to be so for a long time. And normally students don't confront teachers in Asian culture. So, but this student decided to do so, and the student made an elephant with his psychic abilities in front of the teacher, and made the elephant go closer to the teacher. And the teacher stood there, and as the elephant came closer, the teacher couldn't stay focused. It began to feel frightened and run away. The teacher began to feel frightened and run away. And as the teacher almost began to turn away, the student came and said, "See, arahants don't feel fear." And the elephant disappeared right there. Elephant vanished. Now the fear is like a huge elephant suppressing you, trampling you. And the teacher right there, his conceit was, killed, and he asked the student to guide me, please help me. And the teacher then followed the right path, free from his views that he was already an arahant, and he also became an actual arahant. So he who entirely blots out conceit as the wind demolishes a fragile bamboo bridge. A fragile bamboo bridge. Conceit is like a fragile bridge that needs to be demolished. The wind can easily do that. So such a monk gives up the here and beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. Next one. Yo najha gama bhave susarang vichinang puppamiva udumbaresu so bhikkhu jahati ora parang urago jinna nivattachang puranang. So he who does not find core or substance in any of the realms of being, like flowers which are vainly sought in fig trees that bear none. Such a monk gives up the here and beyond, just as a serpent sheds its worn out skin. So this is connected with another story where a man needs to perform a wedding, and he was told to look for a particular flower, and he kept looking for it. He never found it, and he happened to see two boys somewhere, and he asked them, "Have you seen so and so flower? A fig flower?" And the boys said, just wanted to like joke, just fakely said, you know, said, just made a wrong statement, and said, climb up those trees, and you will find some flowers, that particular flower. And the boy directed him to those fig trees, and the man began climbing those trees and never found any flowers throughout the whole day. And then he saw those trees on the other, there was a river, and he saw flowers on the other side of the river. So he went there and started climbing trees, and there was a monk on the other side. And this monk saw that this man was climbing trees and looking for something. The monk went to him and asked, "What are you looking for?" And the man said, "I'm looking for flowers in this tree." And the monk said, uh, "You are looking for flowers in a tree that doesn't bear any flowers." And then the man came to realize that he was going in the wrong direction. He was misguided all the time. So it is like flowers which are vainly sought in fig trees that bear none. So he who does not find core or substance in any of the realms of being, like you go to Deva realm, you go to Manusha realm, you go to Hell realm, in any of these realms, you don't find anything that is meaningful to adhere to seek, to, you don't find any essence that is fruitful. You only see a changing flow of experience, and that you can't even keep your happiness ongoing. So, having realized this, just as a snake shedding off its old skin, a monk gives up here and beyond. Any questions? So we'll stop here. Like you got no questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up something on the first point you brought up with the anger or wrath. Yeah. So like in terms of the antidote for that, as far as like recognizing and grappling with that emotion, one of the things that I found I used to do, so I ran into road rage, and what I ended up doing is realizing that and turning that into a different emotion. I don't know if that resonates with the same lesson being taught here, but it was, I would always, so what I would do is I would, every time I would start getting angry and I would start like, yelling or something, I would force myself to like yell in an accent of like Arnold Schwarzenegger or some like other person. And by doing that, it made me realize how ridiculous it was, and it turned it into like a funny moment rather than an angry
Mm-hmm.
moment.
I see that your face lit up as you say that, as you switch to, explain the experience about the other emotion, because it is in a way funny. And it's a skillful gift to have if you are able to do so. But most people even fail. They fail even at that they can't choose an alternative. And in one sutra, I think it's Majjhima Nikaya number 2, where the Buddha says, take when you have a small, what's the word for that? A wood nail, a peg. When you have a small peg, uh, you use that to get rid of the bigger peg that is in the wood already. So using an alternative, altering your mind states, this is a skill to develop. But even in doing that, do do use the wholesome words, um, not like words like that are demeaning, putting people down, or putting yourself down. So that way, you don't cultivate a different habit altogether that may be really harmful as you live with other people uh, in the society. Hope that helps.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
So any action done in loving kindness brings peace to you. So thank you for that. And thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of the week, and stay safe. And I think perhaps we can continue this discussion to finish off the whole sutra as we do our sitting in a future Monday. Okay, take care.
Thank you, Mati.
Thank you, Bante.
Sure.
Thank you. Oh,
Everyone Sarnai Swamin Sir.
Everyone, Saranai.
Irwan Sarnai Swamin Sir.
Winnipeg කට්ටිය පරිස්සමෙන් ඉන්න.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, Bante.
හොඳයි.
Thank
දැන්
you.
මම